What's poppin', everybody? It's your boy Snowy Karama, and we are here for the semi-final matches for Games of the Week for LYCANROC Battle League. If you missed the last episode, it's on the channel somewhere. You can go and find it. And if you want a refresher, I'm going through each game and picking out my favorite ones of each of 3 divisions and showing them up on the channel. I was not able to scrounge up the funds to bring on Lego again. I might have some next time, but this time there wasn't enough. Not enough for the bank, unfortunately. I'm just going to go ahead and get to our dice roll. 1 and 4 is Midnight, 2 and 5 is Midday, 3 and 6 is Dusk. We'll be looking at Midnight first. This week's game is Iger versus Martin. Martin is a not two-time, he's just one-time. Oh, my cat's gonna be screaming because my door's closed. Don't mind him. Martin is last season's champion from Midnight, and then we have Iger, who is Seed 1. Let's go ahead and figure out what they're gonna be leading here. Martin, probably Garchomp. Martin's probably leading Garchomp. And then Iger, I'm thinking the Jirachi. Let's go on ahead. Primarina lead from Iger, and we see Garchomp from Martin, so I got half of it. And the Terras here this week is a Terra Grass Jirachi, it looks like. Nope, Terra Grass Ogerpon only from Iger. And then Martin has a Terra Steel Colossal Ghost Arboliva. And that looks to be all. So let's go ahead and get on into it. We see a switch to Arboliva turn 1. A hefty Moonblast getting up that Seed Sower ability, so not all was lost there. We see a Colossal switch into another Moonblast, taking that quite well. Might be vested, who knows. Actually, just leftovers and bulky. Bellybolt comes in. We see a Will-O-Wisp trying to burn that Primarina because I guess he likes burning special offensive water types from what we saw last game. We see a Terra Steel to block the Toxic, very nice call there, and then we Will-O-Wisp the Bellybolt for the residual. Annihilate comes on in, or nope, we see a switch to Garchomp. We see a Stealth Rock here and a Close Combat doing some nice chip, and then we'll see some chip on the Annihilate from the Rough Skin. Corviknight comes and takes its place. Do we see another Close Combat? We do. We might see a helmet here. We do. Alright, so Iger is just willing himself away, it seems. Primarina comes in. We see a U-turn out into the Scream Tail. Tinglu comes in. I don't know how well this thing takes a Psychic move, but we see a Wish coming off instead. We see Arboliva coming in. We see a Body Press almost taking the dang thing out, but there was, what is it, Choppleberry to mitigate that damage and bringing that Arboliva all the way back up to 69. Pretty good. Jirachi comes in, maybe trying to do some flinches. Leaf Storm does a little bit of a chunk thanks to the Degrassi Terrain boost. But I don't think Arboliva can stay in. It cannot. So we see a Colossal switch, and then we see a Wish on Iger's side as well. Primarina comes on in, potentially taking a Terra Blast. Will-O-Wisp miss again, ladies and gentlemen. We see a Scream Tail coming on in. Flip turn on out into the Tinglu from the Primarina. We see a Ruination, possibly a Body Press. Hopefully not a Body Press. We see Corviknight coming in. Ruination would be pretty decent on this thing. Heavy Slam doing absolutely nothing. I think Tinglu took more damage. We see a Taunt coming in, which is pretty good because there's no Defog or Roosting, but we see a U-turn out onto the Arboliva. Jirachi comes on in. Do we see a Leaf Storm coming off? We see Earth Power, actually. Pretty good mid-ground on Martin's side. See a Wish again. Earth Power happens once more. Jirachi is probably going to be able to take this with a Protect. Yep, there it is. We see an Earth Power again, because there's no reason to really not. There could be a switch. You see a Wish up again. We see Earth Power. Iger's only going to be able to do this for so long. We see a Colossal switch into the Protect. And then a Primarina comes on out here. We'll see a Will-O-Wisp, so Martin's just trying to get as much residual damage in as possible for his big ol' fixer cleaner, it seems. Moonblast off from the Primarina is pretty good on the Scream Tail. Colossal comes in to take a Moonblast. We see a crit. Not very good for Martin here. Moonblast doing a chunk despite no crit there. It's pretty good. Earth Power just lowering that special defense. It seems that Martin's getting the luck back. Annihilate comes in. Do we see a Willow? We see a Corviknight switch here, actually. I don't know if Annihilate gets knocked. Doesn't matter. We see a Jirachi coming on in onto the Roost. Maybe we're going to see a Wish here. We do. We see a U-turn, a critical hit U-turn into the Darkrai. This Darkrai is kind of cool. SD Darkrai. I was today years old. I was today years old when I found out that Darkrai had Swords Dance. Well, back when I saw it. You get the pic. You know what I'm talking about. We see Jirachi missing that Thunder Wave. Darkrai versus Annihilate here. We see a knockoff, a very well-placed knockoff into the Annihilate. This thing actually gets some pretty good physical attacks, and I looked at it after I saw this match. It was pretty crazy. We see a Chesto Berry, so potential Resto Chesto happening with the Annihilate. We're not going to see that anymore. Tinglu is here, probably going to try with a Body Press. We see a Drain Punch off onto the Tinglu. Body Press doing a lot to the Darkrai, but it'll be able to get all the HP back with another Drain Punch, taking out the Tinglu. A nice, healthy 59%. Ogerpon is here. Ogerpon's probably going to press the Terra button. We see Corviknight coming in. We see the Terra. An Ivy Cudgel doing nothing to the Corviknight. And it looks like there's no more helmet on it either. We see spikes coming off, and then a U-turn out into the Scream Tail. This thing can get cudgeled no problem. But we see a switch out into the Corviknight. We see a Taunt, which is pretty good because there's no more Roosts or Defogs or anything. We see a Belly Bolt switch here to take a Brave Bird pretty well, and then there's Electromorphosis, so we'll see what exactly Iger's trying to hit with the Charge Beam potentially. U-turn out into the Garchomp. I think that's a good read. See a Parabolic Charge trying to get HP back, but it's not going to work because Garchomp's a ground type. Ogerpon comes in to take the place of the Belly Bolt. We see an Earthquake coming off, not doing a ton to the Ogerpon, but considering its health, it's pretty substantial. Corviknight comes in. We see a Synthesis on that switch. Pretty good. Almost full HP. We see another spike happening. Brave Bird almost taking that Ogerpon out. I'm not sure if this thing has... Nope, it doesn't have anything really to hit the Corviknight, unfortunately, besides a Taunt. See Jirachi coming on in. Into the Brave Bird. This Corviknight's doing some good work here. See a Wish coming off, because of course we do. U-turn. It's a good idea, what am I saying? Colossal comes in. We might see a spin off here. See Ogerpon coming in to take the place of Jirachi. See a spin. And now Ogerpon is gonna get all that HP back. That's pretty good planning there. See Belly Bolt coming in, probably to get some Electromorphosis. Yep, there it is, with the Flamethrower from the Colossal. That thing's looking pretty low, unfortunately. We see an Earth Power almost taking out the Belly Bolt. Able to slack off the damage. This is just a heal and repeat. Get smacked, heal, repeat. We see an Earth Power coming off. See the Toxic here. I'm pretty sure that, I don't know exactly what the calc is from, what is it called? Parabolic Charge, but I'm sure that Iger is expecting the Garchomp any minute. So it's not the best idea to just click that button. See the Garchomp here onto the Slack Off. Very decent. Ogerpon comes on in, probably going to take half from an Earthquake again. Yep. Do we see a Corv switch? Into maybe a Synthesis? Yep, there it is. Look at that. Into the Jirachi. This game kind of goes on like that. We see a Brave Bird off on the Corviknight doing almost nothing to the Jirachi. A Wish here, a Roost there. Just healing all over the place. Both sides are trying to keep their guys as healthy as possible. We see a Scream Tail coming on in. Do we see a Moonblast? We see a Psychic Noise taking out the Scream Tail. Iger's first kill of the match. Turn 53. Sometimes it be like that. Ogerpon comes in, Arbalava comes in for the Scream Tail. We see an Earth Power not doing anything. because of course that's how typings work. Jirachi comes on in. Do we see an alluring voice? I'm not sure we've seen that just yet. Yep, that's the first alluring voice of the game. See Darkrai coming in, probably trying to set up again. We see a Protect, probably going to get that HP back with a Wish. Nope, there was no Wish. I'm just so used to seeing Protect and Wish. We see a very strong knockoff coming off from the Darkrai, almost taking out the Jirachi, and then a Thunder Wave comes off, so this Darkrai is more or less neutralized. Never mind, we did not get the Paraflinch, but that's still a low HP. Ogerpon's going to be able to take this thing out with a Cudgel for sure. See a Cudgel taking out the Darkrai. Then Corviknight comes on in, probably going to press the Brave Bird button. We see a Synthesis. We see a Brave Bird coming off. What will we see? We see the Bellybolt come in. This thing can only take so many Brave Birds. But U-Turn was a great play because Primarina's on a timer, essentially. Ogerpon's low, and Bellybolt, there's any residual damage is good residual damage. Garchomp comes in, we'll probably see an Earthquake here. Nothing really wants to take one at this point. Ogerpon will definitely die to an Earthquake. There's one for Garchomp. We see Primarina coming on in here. We probably see a switch to Corv. There it is. We see a Psychic Noise, which does it's a critical hit. No! 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 What turn were we on? See Arboliva coming on in. We see another Psychic Noise. I think we see that it is not very effective, meaning this thing is Liquid Voice Psychic Noise. No more healing for the Arboliva, which is pretty good considering there is a grassy terrain. Earth Power comes off on the Primarina. I don't think this thing is carrying a grass. Oh, it's carrying Leaf Storm, but you don't want to Leaf Storm too many times, otherwise the Bellybolt will just live all the hits and be able to recover. That's a pretty good idea. Psychic Noise almost does it to the Arboliva. We see another Earth Power, potentially trying to get this thing to have a Spadef drop. Heal Block is ended, but its Psychic Noise takes out the Arboliva. Now it is 2v2. Garchomp comes in. This thing's going to be able to Earthquake through the grassy terrain, killing the Primarina, and likely being able to do the same thing to the Bellybolt. And if that Earthquake didn't kill, that burn was going to. So we see that Martin V-Tran and the Russian Rapidashes are moving on to the finals in Midnight. Very good game. I really liked the Swords Dance guy here. The burns were annoying for sure. It's a pretty good idea. One attack on Ogerpon with a bunch of utility moves is very interesting. I might have to take a look at doing that in a league that I have Ogerpon in. But that's about it for Midnight. 1-3-5 is Midday, and 2-4-6 is Dusk. 1-5 Midday. It would not be an LBL Games of the Week without someone mentioning Sound of Snow. This time we see him against Awan. These two fought one time before. I want to say Snow won, I'm not sure. But we see the little boys again here, the Basculin and the Trapinch. Very, very cool. With Shed Taylor, Cyclizar, the stupid Raging Bolt, and then some useful guys there. And then Snow's brought his pack of fat guys. So we'll see what we are trying to lead with here. Probably the Muck. I know Owan likes leading Muck, I think. It just seems like what he might have done in the past. And on Snow's team, he probably leads the Slowking, right? Let's see. Terapagos, actually, and Basculin. So I was completely wrong there. Completely wrong. We see Snow has a Terabug Diancie. And that looks to be all as far as non-Terra types go. And then for Awan, we have a Terabug on Trapinch, and I think Terra Ghost on Basculin. We see Terapagos just, well, that's what it does, never mind. We see a Flip Turn. This thing going first, because I know how Terapagos works. Muck comes on in to take a Thunderbolt, critical hit Thunderbolt, but it's not going to do too much against a Spadef monster. Terra Starstorm into a Drain Punch. Muck's getting back all that HP. Slowking comes in. We probably see another Drain Punch. Yep, that's very understandable. That would have been a Dead to Rights Terapagos for sure. See a Burned on the Slowking. This thing's Flame Orb. That's crazy. Cyclozar is here. We see a Trick burning that Cyclozar with a Flame Orb and the Heavy Duty Boots for the Slowking. Shed Tailing on out, probably taking in the Muck instead of the Raging Bolt. Chilly Receptioning into the Ting Lu, pretty decent switch there. Probably an Earthquake, maybe something else, probably an Earthquake though. We see a knockoff on the Covert Cloak, Earthquake taking out the Shed Tail. Mamoswine coming on in, we see another Earthquake doing a small chunk to the Mamoswine. This thing can Ice Cold Crash pretty freely against Snow, I'd say. Body Press doing quite a bit to the Mamoswine in response. Snow is not letting this Mamoswine get away with too much HP. Manaphy comes in, we see the Muck coming on in, we see a Scald. I don't think there's a burn. There is not. Muck's probably going to knock off, which is pretty decent against anything really that Snow wants to take in. See the Boots on the Terapagos getting knocked off. Not exactly losing out on, or not exactly getting the KO, I'm sorry. See Terra Starstorm doing half to Muck, and Drain Punch gets rid of the Terapagos. It is 2-6 in favor of a 1 here. Diancie comes in. Do we see a Terra Bug into the Raging Bolt? Nope, we see a Diamond Storm instead. So we see a plus defense boost. Slowking comes in to take the place of the Diancie on a Calm Mind Raging Bolt. This thing is just boosting, boosting, and boosting. We see a light screen off on the Slowking. Another Calm Mind on the Raging Bolt. This thing is ready to sweep. You see a Chill Reception on the Slowking into the Manaphy. And Heart Swap taking all the boosts. And there's a Spadef raising light screen into a Thunderbolt doing absolutely nothing with a Wakan Berry. That is just all the types of bulk that you could ever want in your Manaphy, and all the types of bulk that was on the field as well, making that thing just only do 9. Stored Power almost takes out the Raging Bolt. Thunderbolt does 20 this time, not like it matters, because a Stored Power will take out the Raging Bolt here. Light screen goes away, Mamoswine is in, doesn't matter, because a Scald will take that thing out pretty handily. See Muck coming on in, we see a Protect on the Muck, so that the Scald will not take it out, probably getting some residual with the Black Sludge. See a Scald almost doing it out with the Muck, and then a Burn Poison Jab, not doing much to the Manaphy, but he does get the Poison in response. We see a Scald off on the Manaphy, killing the Muck. And then Trapinch is in here. Terra Bug, first impression, taking out the big ol' threat Manaphy that took out half of the team. Diancie comes on in. We see a Cyclozar taking the place of the Trapinch. A Diamond Storm miss, unfortunately, on Snow. Taunt into another Diamond Storm, taking out half of Cyclozar's HP. A knockoff getting rid of an Occa Berry and a Diamond Storm. I completely missed that this thing Terra bugged itself. So there's that. Trapinch comes on in. We see a Diamond Storm critical. Nope, not critical hit. My bad. That is a different game that there was a critical hit on the Trapinch. But the rock move is now super effective because it Terra bugged. We see the taunt ending here. Basculin came in. I didn't realize that Last Respects was legal on Basculin, but I looked it up and it is. Not like it really matters, because Diancie is about to take it out with a Diamond Storm, and that is the game. We see Sound of Snow moving on to the finals in Midday. So, let's see. Calm Mind is cool. I don't think Awan likes running Thunderclap. I feel like this Manaphy would have been taken out a little earlier if there was a Thunderclap. Last Respects, as I was saying, is kind of cool on that thing. The Basculin. Flame Orb Slowking is heat. I really enjoy that, and I really enjoy the Heart Swap Manaphy. That was really cool. Good game to these guys in Midday. Our final match in Dusk is between Boaz22 and Jeremy. Jeremy's running his Sun team. Boaz22 is running his Shed Tailing Septile and friends with the Hoopa in the back that just terrorizes all of Dusk. What are we thinking on these leads? I don't think there's a Torkoal lead. I don't think he ever really leads Torkoal. Maybe Grafaiai to get off the parting shot. Seems pretty nice. And Boaz is probably leading the Noivern, maybe? Let's say that. We see a Torkoal lead. Just kidding. Right after I said he doesn't usually do that, we see a Torkoal, and we see an Iron Treads, which is a pretty decent lead into the Torkoal, I would say. Can spin off the rocks potentially, and can also Earthquake instead. Maybe even pressing a special move, because this thing I've seen it be special, but it's usually on rain. The Terra is Terra Water for Jeremy's Raging Bolt. And it looks to be Terra Water on the Shift Tree as well. And then Boaz has Terra Ghost on the Hoopa, that freaking Hoopa. And then Terra Water in the Noivern, it looks like. Shift Tree comes in to take an Earthquake. Somewhat well. Knocking off the Akaberry from the guy here that treads. Into an into an Ice Spinner, taking out the Shift Tree, very unfortunate. Raging Bolt comes on in. Do we see a Terra Water right off the rip? End of the knockoff. Reading that. Assault Vest Weather Ball taking out the previously holding Akaberry Iron Treads. Sceptile comes on in, probably going to Shed Tail. Yep, we see a Shed Tail into the Torkoal. We see the Hoopa coming in. Grafaiai comes in to take the place of Torkoal in a nasty plot from the Hoopa. Parting Shot, making that nasty plot only half as effective. And we see a Hyperspace Hole doing a ton of damage to the Gliscor, getting off that Toxic Orb. Grafaiai comes in again. We see a Hyperspace Hole, which turns out to be a Psychic move. That thing's dead. Torkoal comes in. See a nasty plot again. I don't think Torkoal's going to be able to do too much besides press Lava Plume and kill the sub, I suppose. You see a Terra Ghost, Shadow Ball, taking out the Torkoal. Not sure that the crit mattered at all. Raging Bolt comes in. We see a Thunderclap, not doing too much to the Hoopa. That thing's special attack is pretty dang strong. Not to mention the +3 in attack. Raging Bolt is dead to Shadow Ball. Iron Bundle comes in. We see an Endure into a Flip Turn. An Endure is pretty good because it could live the Hydro Pump, and I'm not sure what the item is here. Not Sash. Something else. Probably a berry, a stat-raising berry to then take something with a Magician. I'm not sure. Gliscor comes in, though. We see an Earthquake killing the Hoopa. So this Gliscor is pretty quick. We see the Sceptile coming in. See a Leaf Blade coming off on the Protect, so we can get the HP back with the Gliscor. Iron Bundle comes in onto the Leaf Blade. That is a very interesting play there. Endure we see, and then we see a Freeze Dry into the Sceptile, getting that plus attack berry. Very lucky that there was no freeze there. Leaf Blade takes out the Iron Bundle. Gliscor comes in. It's Gliscor versus the world, ladies and gentlemen. We see a Leaf Blade into the Protect, getting back that HP, getting as much HP as we can. Leaf Blade doing half of that damage. Earthquake taking out the Sceptile. Then we see a Clefable coming in, probably trying to just wear off the Gliscor with its bulk. Moonblast onto a Toxic. This thing is not Magic Guard, is probably unaware. So Swords Dance, not really that useful. See a Moonblast. See a Protect to get back that HP, another Moonblast. We see an Earthquake into the Clefable. Let's actually see, is it... I don't think we'll be able to tell. Because I think that's the first Earthquake, so this thing might be defense, especially defensive? Unless you're running Cute Charm, because you have to be running Unaware if you're taking Toxic damage. Unsure. Doesn't matter. Blaziken is here, probably going to Click Protect. Just kidding. Flare Blitz taking out the Gliscor, winning Boaz the game, and he is moving on to the finals. Very good game. I think Jeremy forgot about Shedtail, I think is what he said earlier earlier in the battle. Jesus, I cannot speak. Very good game in Dusk. Just like last week, up on the screen we have our finals matches. Martin versus Table Guy. What is it looking like here? It's looking like Table Guy has more Pokemon than Martin so far. The speed is going to Martin here, the Darkrai, of course, but we have potential Scarfers as well. Again, I don't think that the Chilly Reception Sandslash is going to be involved. I don't think we've seen that Zoroark once, but I know the Blastoise is a pretty decent with the phasing out. See a lot of good hazard setters on Table Guy's team between Tink, Deancey, and Quagsire, as well as a Spikes and Toxic Spikes setting Meowscarada. Martin's team, that Colossal is always putting in work. I don't think Sneasler might come. I mean, it can outspeed the Meowscarada for sure, because there's the whole the seed option that he's got here. Garchomp's pretty decent once the Meowscarada's gone. I don't remember who won this game last time. It might have been Table Guy, I'm not entirely sure. Ogerpon, let's see. There's a Quagsire, so I'm not sure exactly how useful Ogerpon will be. I mean, well, never mind. That thing can use grass moves. It's grass type. I was just thinking, oh, Ivy Cudgel's not going to do it. It's very hard to say. Very hard to say. I'm going to say that Martin gets his 2-time championship here. The midday finalists are Holy Macaroni and Sound of Snow. I think the last time these guys won, Snow lost out. So this will be a nice little rematch for them. Zamazenta's tough. Zamazenta's tough. The thing about Draft League with Zamazenta, though, is if you prepare for it and you prepare for it right, you're more than likely going to be able to take it out pretty handily. So Snow probably won't have an issue with that. Zamazenta players usually don't really switch out from what I've been able to see. The Chilly Reception into Ice Horse, how does that look? Terra Hydreigon's pretty scary. We have 2 Shed Tailors on Holy Macaroni's team for that Zamazenta, which is pretty dang scary. The Primarina is scary too, for sure, but there's a Serena and a Galvantula that can do some big damage into that thing. Plus Terra Electric Glastrier looks like it could punch some holes outside of Landorus, but under Trick Room that the Slowking can set, that won't matter at all. I think considering that Holy Macaroni lost to Snow last time, and Snow doesn't like that, he's probably going to pull this one out. The last matchup we're looking at here is the Dusk Finals between Boaz22 and Egotistical Elekid. So, we see a Hoopa. Hoopa is likely going to just destroy this team here. Terra Ghost is something that he likes, obviously, that we've seen. There is an Umbreon here, which won't be taking a lot from that, and there's also 2 normal types in Terrapagos and Cyclizar, so Terra Ghost might not be the bring. We might see a Terra fighting to take out those 3, and then just nasty plotting with the Shed Tail here, the Sceptile, which there's a Shed Tail versus Shed Tail match here, so that's interesting. We see 2 good spinners. Cryogonal's a decent spinner if played correctly. Torn is pretty decent too. Terra Scizor, pretty nuts, I think. I don't think we've seen it. We've seen more Terra Bellybolt, I think, off of Egotistical Elekid. There's also the Ditto and the Ariados, the nice little sticky webs. Something that, actually, I don't think that Boaz really needs, considering Cyclozar is likely not going to be an offensive threat. It's not going to affect the Tauren at all. So all of the rest of the team is actually very slow compared to Boaz's team. I don't remember who won the last time these guys played, but I'm probably going to give it to Boaz just because he's got a lot more tools against Egotistical Lekid, and like I'm saying, Hoopa, Terrifying Hoopa looks like it's going to just eat Egotistical Lekid's team with the Shadow Ball and the Terrifying Stab, because you don't need to use Focus Blast in this team with Terrifying. I don't know how much Pecharunt takes if it's Spadef. Scizor might be a problem depending on the Terra type. So I'm going to give it to Boaz here. The penultimate Pickems are almost a straight 100% across the board. The only one that did not seem to do that is Midnight, and I think that's because of one vote, just like last week. We have one vote going a different way. We would have seen 100s across the board. The rest of the matches, it seemed like it was pretty solid on who was going to win. So good job there, guys. We'll see how spot on you are in the finals. And that is the end of the semifinals for Games of the Week. Let me know which game you like the best down in the comments. Try to raise money for LEGO to come back, man. It was a great time having him before. I would love to be able to afford him and next month's rent as well. I'm saying that like there's anywhere to put money for that. Ignore me. Ignore me. Like this video if you have not already. Subscribe if you're new, and of course only if you would want to. And if you want to see LEGO come back. Likes and subscribes. I heard that he loves those. Hit that bell so you know when it is I'm uploading. And I will see you for the finals of Games of the Week. Have a good one, guys.